Cedar Point is really a place like no other, and you are not going to want to plan a trip to this awesome park until you watch this video. Get ready to learn about everything you need to know about Cedar Point, including when is the best time to visit, money-saving tips, how many days do you really need? I'm also going to share with you my perfect Cedar Point itinerary that works every time. Where are the best places to stay? What are the not to be missed Cedar Point attractions? And when's the best time to ride Steel Vengeance? And of course, my Cedar Point plan of attack. So let's begin with the planning stages for your Cedar Point trip. Starting off with, how many days do you need? Cedar Point is huge and offers over 70 rides, dozens of water slides, 18 different roller coasters once Dragster reopens, and so much more. For you to get the full Cedar Point experience while enjoying everything the park offers, I definitely recommend spending at least 2 full days in the park. You really cannot do it all in one day, and nor should you. Now, worst case scenario, and you only have 1 day, then honestly, you need to highly consider getting a fast lane. This way, you'll be able to spend more time riding and enjoying all the rides and coasters, and less time waiting in line. I do not want you to only be able to ride a few of the coasters or Steel Vengeance only once. What is the best time to visit Cedar Point? Not only will the park be the busiest from mid-June through mid-August, hotel rates in the area will be a lot more expensive this time period as well. So I personally always plan my Cedar Point trips not during the busiest time. The first 2 weeks of June and the last 2 weeks of August are great since you still get to enjoy all the swimming pools, water rides, and of course, swimming in Lake Erie. Weekends in September are also highly recommended, but Saturdays in October is when the park can be its busiest because of their Hollow Weekends Halloween event. This video is from my own past experiences with visiting Cedar Point. My first visit to the point was way back in 1993, and I've been back pretty much every other year since. In total, I've spent over 200 days in the point at this point in my life. Which leads us to, what are the best days to visit? And just like every other theme park, weekdays are always the best to visit. Fridays do tend to be a little bit busier. If you could only visit on a weekend, then Sunday is better than Saturday, of course. And if you have to go on a Saturday and the weather's free of rain, then again, I highly recommend a fast lane. And I'm going to share more recommendations about the fast lane very soon. When should you arrive at the park? If you have a Platinum or Prestige Pass or staying at a Cedar Point resort, then you can just get early entry into the park. I highly recommend this. Cedar Point early entry is a game changer. Just check Cedar Point's website for dates, times, and more details. Getting to the park before opening is the key to success at Cedar Point. I recommend getting to the parking lot at least 30 minutes before opening. Now I know there is a ton of information in my Cedar Point Ultimate Guide, but you're going to have a much better Cedar Point experience because of it. And it's going to save you money and a ton of time. Now if you could do me a quick favor, this video took over 40 hours to create, and if you can just take 1 second of your time and give it a like, that way more people who are looking for this information will also be able to see it. Where are the best places to buy tickets to Cedar Point? Now, I've always bought my tickets on Cedar Point's website or I've had a season pass. But keep in mind, if someone who you're going with has a season pass, gold tier or higher, then they can get you the bring a friend discount rate that is much cheaper. Also, always purchase your tickets in advance. Do not wait until the last minute to do so, and do not, and I mean do not, try to buy them at the park. Those lines are always very slow moving. Cedar Point Season Pass options. Here is a current look at the Season Pass types that Cedar Point offers. As you can see, there are a ton of benefits of having a Season Pass. And if you have one, be sure to keep it handy because you're able to use it for discounts in the park at most of the restaurants and gift shops. Is Fast Lane really worth it? Currently, Cedar Point offers 2 fast lane options, regular fast lane and fast lane plus. So here's my rule of thumb on purchasing a fast lane. Go with the fast lane plus since you can skip the regular queue line for Valraven, Millennium Force, Maverick, and Steel Vengeance. And when Dragster reopens, you know that's going to be on fast lane plus as well. With regular fast lane, you do not get to skip those lines. And since those are the slowest moving lines in the entire park, it's worth the additional money. Fast lane is by far the best system out there at any theme park. All you have to do is scan your Fast Lane Plus wristband and there is no limit on how many times you get to ride. Once you get off, you just go down the exit and get right back in line. It's amazing. And if this is your very first visit to Cedar Point or you don't visit very often, try to add a Fast Lane Plus in your budget. Trust me, it's honestly worth it. I just don't find there to be any value in a regular fast lane if you are wanting to ride all the best coasters in the park. And since the whole trip to Cedar Point is going to cost you a decent amount of money, you might as well treat yourself to get the best experience possible. For a park like Cedar Point, I will never not buy one unless it's a rainy day and the crowds are at a minimum. I personally do not like waiting in line, so I would rather pay the extra money to get more rides on the coasters and have more time enjoying other things about the park. Now before you arrive, be sure to download the app. The Cedar Point app is great and offers a park map, show times, and even wait times. Though, you might want to take the wait times with a grain of salt. Parking tips. One of the best benefits of staying at Hotel Breakers or Lighthouse Point is you don't have to get in a car and drive to the park. But if you are staying somewhere else, then what I do is get to the parking tolls around 45 minutes before opening so you will not get stuck in traffic along the causeway. Take a break from the rides and coasters and enjoy the beautiful Cedar Point Beach. Now this is one of the many reasons why Cedar Point is so special, because running along the east side of the park is the beautiful beaches of Lake Erie. You are able to leave the park and go take a dip in the water or just walk the beach at your own leisure. The Cedar Point Beach is always very clean and the water feels great on those hot summer days. Did you know that Cedar Point offers 4 different entrances? But which one is the best? And for early entry, I highly recommend the Magnum Gate. This gate is also the closest for Hotel Breakers and Lighthouse Point. You can also enter the park via the Windseeker Gate if you're staying at Breakers. But why I recommend the Magnum Gate is because you are closer to the back of the park where Dragster, Maverick, and Steel Vengeance are located. But most importantly, the entrance is easier and quicker to get in and out of. Is Cedar Point Shores worth it? This water park is really nice and is located next to Cedar Point. You're going to find a great slide collection for all ages. Cedar Point Shores also has a great wave pool, 2 lazy rivers, and a massive kids area with tons of activities for little ones. If water parks are your thing and you like to cool off and have time to do so, then take advantage of this nice and clean water park. Things to do outside of Cedar Point. Now if you're there for a while and you don't want to spend all your time at Cedar Point, the whole area around the park has a bunch of cool things to check out. So if you do have extra time to spare, I recommend exploring the islands of Put-in-Bay. Now before I share with you my recommendations on the best places to stay while at Cedar Point, I think it's beneficial that you learn about my Cedar Point itinerary on how you can maximize your time at the park and just enjoy your experience even more. And without further ado, my Cedar Point itinerary. Now get ready to enjoy 2 perfect days at Cedar Point. Stay at Hotel Breakers or Lighthouse Point and purchase a Fast Lane Plus and dining plan. Now to cut down on some of the cost, I recommend bringing breakfast snacks for you in the morning. That way you can eat something in your room. Get to the Magnum Gate no later than 30 minutes before early entry. This is vital. Once security drops the rope, head right to Maverick or Steel Vengeance, depending on which one is open for early entry. And when Dragster reopens, I recommend heading right there first. Walk fast, and I repeat, walk fast, because it's a walking race to the entrance of those rides. And if someone in your party does not walk fast enough, then I would just leave them in the dust. Just kidding, but am I? Hopefully, you can get on one of these coasters and then get in line for another one right before 10 a.m. Then after that, go about your day with no pressure. Go have fun, skip the lines as much as you would like, and enjoy eating every 90 minutes with your dining plan pass. Now, if you have the all-season dining plan, then you get to enjoy 2 meals a day as long as there is a 4-hour gap in between. Either way, I highly recommend getting the dining plan. Then around 2 p.m., depending on the weather, head back to your hotel room or cabin, throw on your swimsuit, then head to the pools and the beach. Or if you want, just relax for a while. Now, Lake Erie is not known for its waves, but there's something about cooling off on those hot summer days, and the water depth along the beach is very shallow. You can walk out a very good distance and still be able to stand, so it's great for families and kids. Plus, what other beach can you visit and swim out and look back and see 5 roller coasters over 200 feet? Exactly. After you cool off in Lake Erie and or the pools at Hotel Breakers, I recommend going back to your room to freshen up and then walk the beach towards the Windseeker entrance into Cedar Point. Then depending on when the park is closing, you're going to have a few hours to enjoy the park and of course, night rides. You're also going to be able to enjoy your dinner that's included with your dining plan. But do you want to know what the best part of this itinerary is? After the park closes, all you have to do is walk back to your hotel room or cabin. Meanwhile, others are stuck in a minimal 30-minute traffic jam just to leave the park. Not you, because at that point, you'll be walking the beach at night, enjoying the fire pits, the sights and sounds of the waves, swimming in a pool, or just relaxing after your amazing day at Cedar Point. And finally, my last itinerary tip. Take a walk along the beach all the way down to Gatekeeper. It is very relaxing to walk with your feet in the sand while a giant B&M wing coaster is looming above you. And the beach is filled with comfortable chairs, so pull one up to the water and just sit and stare out into the lake and look at all the stars and the moon. It's really quite amazing. I have shared with you my recommendations on how to plan the best trip to the point, and you cannot visit Cedar Point and really enjoy it without staying somewhere nearby. So it's time that you learn about my recommendations on the best places to stay in the area. From the Cedar Point hotels to the others in the area, I have you covered and you are about to save a ton of time looking for a hotel, because my goal is at the end of this video, you know which hotel you can afford and stay at. I'm going to start my recommendations off with the top recommended non-Cedar Point properties. Holiday Inn Express and Suites Sandusky, 4.2 out of 5-star rating on Google. This Holiday Inn Express is located a very short 2 miles away from the Cedar Point parking tolls. Not only will you love staying here, you can also take advantage of taking a dip in their indoor pool. A very nice way to relax after a long day in the park. And don't worry, because no matter your budget, you will find a place to stay on this list for your next Cedar Point adventure. And all the hotels and resorts on this list are located within 15 minutes from Cedar Point. South Shore Inn, 4 out of 5 stars on Google. This hotel is not affiliated with any hotel chain, and that is totally okay. You will find here free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, a great outdoor pool with 2 family small water slides. The South Shore Inn is only located 4 minutes away from the parking tolls when there's no traffic. This is a place where you will not feel like you're overpaying for a hotel room and still get to enjoy a nice place to stay. Quality Lodge, 3.9 out of 5 stars on Google. You will be greeted by some of the friendliest staff around. Plus, great cozy rooms that really live up to the hotel's name. If you are looking to save money, then you need to check out this place. The parking tolls are only located 2.8 miles away, so it's going to take you no time at all to get to the park. Hampton Inn Sandusky, 4.3 out of 5. Located just under 7 miles from Cedar Point, you're going to find some great cozy beds, free Wi-Fi, and a great breakfast. Oh, I almost forgot, they also offer a great indoor pool. Overall, a solid hotel that you cannot go wrong with. True by Hilton Sandusky, 4.3 out of 5 stars. This is a newer hotel that is located just over 7 miles away from the parking tolls. But what I really enjoyed about this place is it's very clean and you have modern rooms that are practically brand new. You also cannot beat the free hot breakfast, just another way to save some money during your trip to Cedar Point. If you're looking to stay at an indoor water park, then you're in luck because Sandusky has a few of them. The first one to open in the area was the Great Wolf Lodge, which is a very well-themed hotel that offers great rooms in any size, plus a great indoor water park, restaurants, an arcade, and other entertainment offerings. What's really nice about staying at the indoor water parks is that you really never have to leave if you don't want to. Of course, unless you're going to Cedar Point. That's because you're going to have everything you need right under one roof. Now talk about convenience. The Great Wolf Lodge is only 5 miles from Cedar Point, making this place totally worth it. But if you're looking to stay at the largest indoor water park in the entire state of Ohio, then you'll have to travel a few miles further down Route 250. Welcome to Kalahari Resort. This resort has it all. You're gonna find great amenities, friendly workers, amazing rooms, and some world-class water slides that are located inside this massive indoor water park. And do me a favor, do not let the 8-mile drive steer you away from staying here. It's totally worth it. And here's a really cool fact. From some of the indoor slide platforms, you are able to see Top Thrill Dragster lit up at night. Now it's time to dive into each Cedar Point property for you to stay during your visit. Cedar Point's Express Hotel, 4.1 out of 5 stars. This is usually the cheapest Cedar Point hotel that you can stay at. Plus, you can still get early entry to the park, which is key. The only negative is none of the Cedar Point properties offer free breakfast. Also, you will not find an indoor pool located here, but the outdoor pool is really nice in the summer. Now, if you are finding this video to be helpful in any way, then all I ask is that you take a second of your time and give it a like. That way, someone else who's in need of hearing about these same recommendations will now have a chance to do so. Castaway Bay, 3.9 out of 5 stars. This indoor water park resort is located in a beautiful location right on the Lake Erie Cove, simply called Castaway Bay. You will find a great indoor water park that offers a lot, even if it's the smallest one in the area. Cedar Point has made a ton of upgrades to this place over the years, and it really shows. Sawmill Creek, 4 out of 5 stars on Google. Cedar Point's newest property just received a multi-million-dollar upgrade that was much needed, and this place is now really nice. This resort also offers a beautiful world-class golf course and is located just over 7 miles away from Cedar Point. Location, location, location. Hotel Breakers, 4.4 out of 5 stars on Google. While this is the most expensive place to stay in the area, you do get what you pay for. The location, beautiful views, and of course, the convenience. You do not have to drive to the park. You literally just walk. Hotel Breakers offers multiple pools, fire pits, live entertainment, restaurants, and more. Over the last 10 years, I've stayed at Breakers 3 or 4 different times, and my family and I love everything about this place. When you compare staying at Hotel Breakers to a Disney resort or a Universal one, you would probably think that the rate is actually pretty affordable. And finally, Lighthouse Point, ranked one of the most 9 beautiful RV campgrounds in the US by Travel and Leisure magazine. This place is perfect if you have an RV or if you want to stay in a cozy cabin. Either way, Lighthouse Point is my favorite place to stay at Cedar Point. In my opinion, staying in one of the cabins is one of the most fun ways to experience a Cedar Point vacation. And another benefit of staying at Breakers or Lighthouse Point is that you'll save money on parking. Instead of paying $25 per day, and I'm sure that rate will increase soon, you can save that money and apply it to staying at one of these 2 places. Now I know it's not much, but hey, $25 is $25. So those are my recommendations for the best places to stay while you're visiting the one and only Cedar Point. I really hope that you found this list to be helpful, and I want to know, where do you normally stay when you visit Cedar Point? Please let me know in the comments, and if you have any other Cedar Point tips, feel free to share them in the comments for us all. Cedar Point offers the best collection of roller coasters on the planet. And get ready because you're about to learn everything you need to know about the point. Things like what to ride first, when's the best time to ride Steel Vengeance, what are the best restaurants, and my Cedar Point plan of attack that's going to save you money, time, and make your day so much better. Starting out, here are Cedar Point's top 5 must-ride non-coaster rides. And you cannot go wrong with Cedar Downs Racing Derby, and this is by far the most unique carousel you'll ever ride. This attraction is a classic and must be experienced by everyone visiting Cedar Point. The Giant Wheel. This massive 150-foot tall Ferris wheel offers amazing views of the park and Lake Erie, and I cannot recommend riding it enough. The Cedar Point and Lake Erie Railroad, a wonderful train ride that is an absolute must. Now keep in mind, there are 2 stations, one by Millennium Force and the other by Steel Vengeance. So be sure to utilize the train if you want to rest your feet. Now if you want to get great views of Maverick and Millennium Force, then sit on the right hand side of the train when you leave the Millennium Force station. But beware of those skeletons because those guys do not play around. The Sky Ride. Don't miss this ride because most parks are removing them and Cedar Point for now still has theirs. Snake River Expedition. This is a great interactive boat ride attraction that the whole family is going to love. Now if you're looking to do something unique at Cedar Point, then you have to check out the Sunrise Thrills VIP tours. On this tour, you'll get to experience some great behind the scenes of the major coasters at Cedar Point, and I honestly cannot recommend this tour enough. When to ride Steel Vengeance? Now that's a very tough question because there's a lot of right answers. I mean, you could go there first thing in the morning, but most people are already thinking that as well. So I recommend waiting to the last ride of the night and get in the queue line before park close. That way you definitely get a ride on Steel Vengeance and it's at night. Now it might not be all the way dark by the time the park does close, but at least you get a sunset view of Lake Erie, if not complete darkness. Speaking of night rides, what are the top 5 best coaster night rides? Now this is a very tough choice because all the coasters are great at night, and I recommend visiting when Cedar Point is open later so you can experience some great night rides. But for my top 5, I'd have to go with Dragster when it reopens, then Magnum XL 200, followed by Steel Vengeance, and to round out the top 2, I'm going to go Maverick and then Millennium Force. I love Millennium Force at night and the way the park lights up the lift hill. It just adds so much energy to an already awesome ride. Since Cedar Point is one of the busiest theme parks in the world, you are going to encounter lots of lines. So it's important for you to know about Cedar Point's fastest moving lines. And those are, of course, the park's 4 B&Ms, Rougarou, Gatekeeper, Raptor, and Valraven. These are all high-capacity coasters that the line generally moves quicker than others. Corkscrew, Magnum, and Gemini, depending on if they're running 2 sides on Gemini or not, are also quick queues. And since the opposite of fast is slow, here are the slowest moving lines at Cedar Point. Of course, Dragster, Maverick, and their new Wild Mouse coaster when it opens, and you cannot forget about Steel Vengeance due to having to go through metal detectors right before you get on the ride. And just a heads up, it was confirmed by the park that the new Wild Mouse spinning coaster will not be on fast lane. So it's obvious that line is going to move pretty slow. After all these rides, you're going to get hungry, trust me, which leads us into, is the all-day dining plan worth it? In my opinion, absolutely. I highly recommend this. And if you're a soda drinker, then get the drink plan too, since a bottle or cup of soda is going to cost you $4 easily every time. Whether you have the day meal plan or the one that's added to your season pass for the all season, I honestly cannot recommend this enough because you will save a lot of money. Also, the dining plan just makes your day even less stressful and you can just enjoy eating your meals and not worry about the price you would normally pay for the food. With the all-season dining plan, you get 2 meals a day and you have a 4-hour window in between meals. With the all-day dining plan, you can eat as many meals per day as you want as long as they're 90 minutes from each other. Another key attraction about Cedar Point is the restaurants, and as of late, the park has really gone all out with their new ones. And here are the top 5 restaurants that you definitely need to try. Backbeat Q, Hugo's Italian Kitchen, Melt Bar and Grill, the Farmhouse Kitchen and Grill, and the new restaurant inside of the Grand Pavilion. And while we have not eaten there yet, I am sure it's going to become a top 3 restaurant at Cedar Point. Plus, you're not going to be able to beat those views of Lake Erie. Now, when is the best time to eat? This is a very important question and can honestly save you a lot of time if you know the best times. And I highly recommend that you go eat during the non-peak times. That's because between 12 p.m. and 1:30, the restaurants will be packed with long lines out the door, and it's going to be hard to find a table to sit at. So I recommend eating before 12 p.m. or after 1:30. Now, dinner time will not be as bad since dinner times vary more than lunch times. Cedar Point special events. Throughout the season, Cedar Point offers some great events that will be sure to enrich your day at the park. From delicious food festivals to the monster-filled Halloween's Halloween event, be sure to check out Cedar Point's website for a list of their special events. Cedar Point Live Entertainment. It seems like that with every year, Cedar Fair really ups their entertainment offerings at the parks, and it's much appreciated. Most of the shows that Cedar Point offers are seasonal, so do keep that in mind. And I recommend downloading the Cedar Point app so you can check out the show times, wait times, and explore the park map. What to wear at Cedar Point. Please, for the sake of your feet, wear comfortable shoes. Cedar Point is huge, and to give you an example, walking from the main entrance back to Steel Vengeance is about a 3/4 of a mile walk. And if you want to know what I wear when I visit Cedar Point, be sure to check out my merch store for all my coaster gear that is comfortable, affordable, and designed by myself. You can find a link for that in the description of this video. Now, being on the lake, there's usually a breeze, so if you or anyone in your party does get chilly pretty easily, then make sure you pack a sweatshirt because once the sun goes down, it does get cooler. What to bring into the park. Since you'll be taking lots of photos and most likely be in the park all day, you do not want your phone to die. So be sure to bring a portable charger along with you. Now keep in mind, some of the major coasters do not allow you to bring loose articles in the queue line, resulting in you spending additional money on a locker. How to cool off at Cedar Point. And hands down, Snake River Falls and Thunder Canyon. Both of these are great water rides that you will get pretty drenched on, but are great during those hot summer days. And did you know that you do not have to stay at Hotel Breakers in order to use the Cedar Point beach? So take a dip in the refreshing Lake Erie if you'd like. I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful beach. Though I have to say, Cedar Point Shores is the most fun way to cool off at Cedar Point, and this water park is filled with water slides and other great water attractions. But note, you do have to have a separate ticket to get into Cedar Point Shores. What are some of the best thrill rides that are not coasters? You cannot go wrong with Power Tower, a 240-foot tall tower attraction that I highly recommend riding the ones that shoot you upwards and try to get the view facing breakers. That way you look out and all you see is water. You can't go wrong with Max Air, one of the best thrilling flat rides ever created, and this ride really is a must ride. And of course, my personal favorite ride at Cedar Point that's not a coaster is Skyhawk. This S&S Scream and Swing is a must ride, and when I go to Cedar Point, I ride it as many times as I can. That's how much fun it is. Cedar Point with kids. The park offers 3 different kids areas to explore that are filled with rides for any young thrill seeker. You have Planet Snoopy and Camp Snoopy in the outdated Kiddie Kingdom. So I recommend spending most of your time at Planet and Camp Snoopy. But the good news is there is so much more for kids to do outside the kid areas. And in case of an emergency, the best place to use the restroom, and since you really never know when you're going to have to go, here are the best restrooms for the females out there and us males if we have to go number 2. The Frontier Town restrooms offer some of the best AC in the park, and you can see them here on the map, as well as the restrooms by Slingshot are also a good second choice. And if you're finding this video to be helpful in any way, all I ask is that you take a second and give it a like. And now it's time for my Cedar Point plan of attack, the plan that's going to save you a lot of time and most importantly, money. Let's pretend I'm going to be visiting Cedar Point with you and we are not purchasing a fast lane or staying at a Cedar Point hotel. here is what I would do. Get to the park early if you are not able to attend early entry. I'm talking being at the front gate at least 30 minutes before opening. This means get to the parking tolls 45 minutes before opening. Once the park is open, head straight to Raptor. Trust me, get the back row, it's the best. Then go to Valraven and try to get an outside seat, followed by the brand new Wild Mouse. That's of course if you want the credit. And then finally, Gatekeeper, and I highly recommend sitting on the left-hand side of the train because the first drop is even better that way. Now if you walk fast enough, you should have already ridden 3 of the park's B&Ms and the new Wild Mouse coaster within the first 45 minutes to an hour. But you're not done yet, is you have to walk fast and do not get caught up with riding a flat ride or taking a selfie. Save that stuff later. That's because you have to get to Millennium Force. Now while you might think you're better off heading right to Frontier Town where Steel Vengeance and Maverick are located instead of my plan, you have to remember that a lot of other people have that same exact thought. So think differently. Trust me, Steel Vengeance, Dragster, and Maverick will already have a long line shortly after opening, while later in the day, the front of the park's going to get more busy, while the back of the park won't be as busy as early morning. Now, if you're able to utilize the early entry, then park in the Cedar Point Shores parking lot and go to the Magnum Gate 30 minutes before opening. Then head right to Steel Vengeance and/or Maverick. And then when Dragster reopens, you'll want to go there first. Cedar Point's slogan is a place like no other, and honestly, it really is a place like no other. And that's why I love this park so much. And I really hope that this video has helped you in some way, and your next Cedar Point trip is better because of it. So now I want to know, when are you planning on visiting Cedar Point? Be sure to let me know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be adventurous, spontaneous, and most importantly, never stop traveling or riding coasters.